Greetings everyone, welcome to this new video. We're gonna talk about some tips and tricks I have for each new league start, because every league is a new fresh start for everyone. New players, old players, it does not matter. We wipe the servers clean and a new temporary league takes its place, which means that everyone is on equal footing when it comes to a new league. And that's partly why I love this game so much, because it gives me a new chance of doing even better each time. So some of you are not gonna nail all these tips that I have. It's 8 at the moment. We'll see how much it is in the end. But you might nail 5 of them this time, 6 of them in the next league, 7 of them in the next, and you might add to this repertoire of tips and tricks or things you do in each league to maximize, because it's very important to maximize at least the leveling part, where to stop and what to do in certain situations to maximize your time in this game, because you don't want to spend too much time or hours and hours in grinding bad maps. You don't want to spend hours and hours of doing something that you should not do. But this is the first part of the game. Only up to maps I'm gonna cover now. I might cover in another video how to make currency when you hit maps, but this is just up to when you hit the maps. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So for the first thing that I always make sure is to update my PoE trade macro. What I mean by this is that I go to this link that is going to be in the description of this video. I download this. This is something that almost, I would say, every streamer you ever seen has this macro installed, or some kind of version of it. It is a godsend when it comes to items, because there's, what did it say, 800 unique items in the game and other things. So when you get a unique items, which you are gonna get probably while leveling, just by the leveling, and then you're gonna get hundreds of unique items while you're actually farming maps. So you don't have time to go into tab out, tab in, and go to the trade macro or trade site and actually look up each item. So what you do is you have this trade macro installed, and all you do in game is I hit Control D here on my keyboard, and I'm gonna see here, I don't know if you see this, but it's telling me that it's gonna sell for approximately 30 chaos. It does not take into account if it's a good or bad roll on the item. You need to do that yourself, but you can click other things that, and again, I hope you see this, that you have 21 on this one, 21 cold rest, and that's the only thing that can differ, because I can hit here and see there's only one that can go up to 40. So it's a low roll, so I know I can only sell it for 30. The same thing with every other item. If I wanna do this one, I do the same, just hit this one and then Control D. So there's videos on these PoE trade, which I'm not going to go through right now, but you can check it out. You can even price check rare items like this one or this one and this one. Pretty easy now with the new features in trade macro. I use this 100 times in this play session. I cannot stress enough how good this macro is. So off to the next one. So tip number 2 I have for you is to look up on Filter Blade, also a link that I'm going to put in the description, and download a Lootfilter. I personally never think is awesome Lootfilter. I use this from the start, and it's the one that most people are using in this game. It's regularly updated for each league, and it's probably the first one to update, honestly. And there's different strictnesses. So you just pick the one that you want, and again, there is YouTube videos on just the Neversink. He has his own YouTube channel, and he will explain his filter and what kind of strictnesses actually show. But you can also click here and see which items are actually disappearing from the list here. So now I saw uber strict, and you can see these just crossed out. down here. And if I go even further, plus uber strict, let's see what happens. It took away some of these divination cards and stuff like that. But you choose your own, and depending on where you are in the league, I would start just a regular when I start out, because it also takes care of the leveling filter, which is another thing that I don't want to go through right now. Just download this, learn how to put it in. There is just do a Google search how to put it in, but basically you are gonna put it into, let's see here, you're gonna put it into documents, and my games, Path of Exile, and here you're gonna put it into this folder right in here. Just unzip the file and slap it in here, and the filter blade or the filter is gonna come up in your options. Then you need to restart the game, and it's gonna come up here, loot in, and then you just load it and it's gonna work perfect. Make sure you have this already done before the league start, and then as soon as the league hits, then you update it again, because there's going to be new things coming into the game that needs to be happening. But it's always better to have a loot filter already activated before you start, because it still takes care of all the stuff that was already in the game, not only the other things. And everything new would still show up in the loot filter because it's not categorized yet. So you're safe on those part. So off to the next one. So for tip number 3, we're gonna take a look at the official Path of Exile website. And as you can see here, we're at the main site, and we are gonna click on the forums. There's multiple ways of doing this tip. What I'm talking about here is finding your specific build that you want to start out with. Because if you're a new player, even a veteran player like myself, I usually go with something safe as my first build. So you might be wondering, why am I going not with the one I really want to play? I could do that, but it's kind of risky to do that in the beginning, because you don't know how well it's going to level up, if it's going to be a good scaling of damage the whole way through. Is it gonna, when you hit end game, is it gonna just flatten out and you're not gonna be able to do the content you need? So when you have a little bit more currency, you can level up a new character or respec the one you have and then try it out. So this league, I will personally probably go with Winter Orb, which I am very well versed in, which has clear speed, and it has MF capabilities. It has great scaling from the beginning when you can equip it until the end game where you can kill Uber Elder. It can do it all. And it's auto targeting, basically an auto bomber that is insanely good for all tier mapping. So that's what I'm looking for. But you might be looking for something else. So I would scour these forums, and they usually say, if you're clicking on one of these, you are probably going to be told that it is a great beginner build. Or even better, you can go to YouTube if you're lazy of reading these, and there's bound, I swear to you, there's going to be a top 10 list from 5 people at least that's going to tell you, oh, choose these builds, these are great league starters. That always happens for every league. They're always going to present a top 10 list or something like that. So just go through those and whatever looks cool to you, because you're gonna play this game. If you don't like the build, then you're not gonna continue. So that is my biggest tip here. Pick a build that can do everything, or at least to the point where you wanna be in this league, and then you can switch to whatever you wanna do later, whatever you wanna try out. But don't pick a build just because it is a great league starter. You still need to be having that interest for it. So plan out. For tip number 4, we have leveling in your offhand. So you know you have 2 gear slots here for weapons. So you can switch between them by clicking X on my keyboard. I can switch between these. When you start leveling, why not just use those? Because gems can level up in your offhand too. So this is a great way of making currency. So what I do is I just pick up a gem, whatever gem there is. So I buy 4 of them or something like that, and then I just put it in my off slot here. So just buy 2 weapons, or when you find 2 weapons, doesn't matter what it is, and then put them in your off slot here. And then you just passively make currency, and when they hit 20, you can either sell them like they are, or trade them with a GCP and get a 20 quality, but you start over at level 1 then. So that is your choice, but there's whatever meta there is right now. What I mean by that, whatever is the most popular skill, like Winter Orb, for example, is probably gonna be highly popular next league again, because they saw how much currency and how fast it was this league. So a lot of new people are probably gonna try it out, which means that people are gonna go for the level 21 level 21 Winter Orb, like right here. It does not need the 20% quality. It will be a little bit more expensive with that, but all you need technically is the level 21, which you want to corrupt for the level 21. So you can either try to corrupt them yourself, or you can sell the 21 and let someone else corrupt it, do the gambling there, and it will still sell good. So that's passive income, and you should be having 6 of these Winter Orb or whatever skill you use, well on your way to level 20 when you hit the maps. So that is some free currency you can get already at the start. And if you're lucky with your corruption, you can make a few exalted just by that. So some passive income while you're doing other stuff. Doesn't cost you much. It costs you a few, I don't know, transmutation orbs or something like that to buy these extra. Don't forget this step. For tip number 5, we are gonna make sell tabs here. If you have bought, I know it's a free-to-play game here, but it makes your life much easier if you buy these hash tabs, and plus you should always support the makers of the game. So what I want to do is I want to just make it public. I want to set negotiable prices to all items, and then I just hit the price here. Because in the beginning of the league, you're going to be hit with many items, and there was going to be so many people looking to get items at the same time. So what I do is I'm just going to identify, take a fast look at it, and I don't know if this is worth something. In the beginning of the league, it's attack speed, spell damage, life, and if I craft resist on it, there's a resist slot, then it could be a good pair of gloves. Then I will just put it in here, and it would be a buyout of 5 chaos. You don't need to click anything. You can dump all the items you think is worth something into one of these tabs. If you think it's worth something more, then you make another tab that is 10 chaos. So what you do is, when you think that this tab has not been selling for a while, you can lower the whole price to 5 chaos, and then you can lower this one because those items didn't sell to 2 chaos, and then you rotate them down. When they hit the bottom, you throw away all the items that was in the lowest chaos tab, and just drag that one empty tab to the top again, and then you start over with new items that rotates down. So I sold tons of items this way in the beginning of the last league, and I started very late last league. I started 4 days late because I was on the vacation then. So, which means that if I started exactly at the start, I could have made so much more, and it took me no time. I just identified and threw it in here. And if 100 people PM you at the same time, message you, then you know you should probably take out that item and individually price it, because then you probably are sitting on a really good item. So just put in stuff here if soon as you're done and replacing one of your items, just push it in here. Doesn't take any time. So a few stash tabs with just this will give you a passive income that you do not need to price check. You do not need to put any thought into. You just update it once in a while. It takes you 1 minute to update this and just throw it in here instead of trashing it. And you can also do the chaos recipe, I guess, from this, which we'll talk about later. So, off to the next one. Okay, for step number 6 that I always do is that I do not stop and smell the roses through Act 1 to Act 9. You want to speed through those acts. If you have not seen them before, then you can just go through the dialogue. But most of us have seen them tons of times. We have leveled up multiple characters here, so you want to actually know which paths to make. And there's leveling guides and stuff like that, how to do this fast. But what I highly suggest that you play until Act 9. As soon as you hit the first place, which is Blood Aqueduct in Act 9, you want to stop there. And we're going to go into that later, why we want to stop there. You want to buy some items and stuff like that along the way, and you might want to trade some things to make it faster. It's a balancing act here. You want to buy items, but you don't want to spend too much trading. You want to continue just playing the game, and you want to stay on the trading site. And that's gonna jump me into my next step. So for step 7, you want to set up trade searches. This you can do already before you start the league. You can set them up, and then you're gonna save them in bookmarks and just label them, so you can easily just click them all when it gets to the point of the league. So for example, I have some searches here we can take this one, Stygian Wise with an open suffix. So what it does is it's looking for a Stygian Wise first of all, and it has max life. It is 90, nothing under there, and it has an open suffix here. So be familiar. You can take a look at my trading site guide that I have on my channel if you don't know, and familiarize yourself about all these steps. But this button right here is wonderful because it's an activate live search. So when I activate live search, you need to be logged in, by the way, to do this. So when you do this, you don't even need to be worrying about it. So while you're playing here, bam, 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 you're gonna hear a notification, which is a sound, and it's gonna come up a box in the corner here that some searches has come up with a result. Someone has updated their trades and they're selling the item you're looking for. So let's say you have 10 chaos to spend, then you put in that you have 10 chaos to spend, and someone might be selling, so you can fast go in there, PM the person, and then buy the item. So instead of manually searching through page by page, you can fast get the exact items already while leveling. So it's ready for you when you hit a certain level. You can also do this with leveling items, so you can make different tabs in your bookmark and for different levels. So you always have good items while leveling, because it's really important to maximize, so you're not so slow because you have no good gear. So gear to be had in the beginning are, of course, life and resistances. Also on weapons, there is high spell damage, high physical damage, and stuff like that. So those are things that you might want to look at. No GG gear, just normal gear to get through the mapping and the end game or first game bosses. So there's a good tips for you. You can start now with these searches to get them ready. Okay, last step. Step number 8. You might have heard on step number 6 why I said we should stop at, you might be wondering why we should stop at Act 9, because of this Blood Aqueduct. Almost all the old players, the veteran players, are stopping at this map right here, the Blood Aqueduct. First of all, it's linear. You run from one side to the other, and it's fairly easy mobs all the way, but it is for one specific reason. We are searching for the humility card. The humility card is for the Tabula Rasa. It's a 6-link white item, which means that you can put in any gem into this item, and it's a 6-link. It has no stats whatsoever, but it's extremely powerful for both leveling and for endgame. People have been killing Uber Elder with this item equipped, of course with other GG gear on, but this is, even if you're not looking for the Tabula Rasa yourself for your build, even if you don't need it, it's a great zone to just level. And I would recommend to level here until about level 70. Then you can switch, because at some point you're gonna hit penalty ceiling, which is a little bit before level 70, where you're gonna get less loot, and you're also gonna get less EXP experience for each mob you kill, which means that it gets less and less beneficial to do this area. But humility card drop is not super rare, and I managed to every league while I was leveling up to level 70 to get a full Tabula Rasa. If you hit level 70 and you have 1 or 2 cards missing, just go online. There's gonna be on the trade site, there's gonna be thousands of people just selling their humility card. So make sure that you level here a little bit longer and just farm up to this one. It's the most valuable item in the beginning of the league to have when it comes to getting up to maps. So those were my 8 steps of actually starting out the league, because now you should have all you need to hit maps and actually completing them in an orderly fashion. So tell me in the comments if you actually want me to go through some tips and tricks when it comes to mapping and how to set up. So I'm gonna do it in a likewise manner like I did in this guide for you all. And also tell me if I missed something, there's something you want me to change in the future. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel. Have a good day.